Frank Sinatra was the most accurate, specific, on time, reliable, professional, and parent. It applied to everything he did. He believed in if you're not early, you're late. He believed that it was inappropriate to keep an audience waiting. Money was what was at risk if you were running late, and it was disrespectful to the other people you were working with. He didn't like holding trains and planes because he would feel people would think, oh, he just does that. It wasn't, he was raised, his father was a fireman. You have to be on time to be a fireman. And his mother was a professional at many things. So his instincts or his whole engineering of these two very different parents from each other, but mutually invested in him, taught him well and strictly. But it's also to be obvious that in the entertainment business, everybody should be like that. I've seen many pictures of Frank Sinatra, of my dad, right? And I have to say, as far back as a teenager, he was wearing a watch. He was not a jewelry guy, but watches were essential to him. And he wore cufflinks, a pinky ring of different choices. I have some of his cufflinks. They're really very pretty, but everything's very simple with him. So the watch, if you'd notice, through the decades, were simple. And he always complained. He said, I love this watch, but it's in my cuff. It's bothering me. So he tended to go to flatter watches most of the time, especially when he was dressed. Bulova was a big sponsor, GE and Bulova, and there were very few in those days, right? And it was and cigarettes. I remember there were a lot of cartons of cigarettes, but better for us, there were lots of watches always around. Even for us as little ones, and it was a privilege. I mean, it was an institution. So it was flattering for him to have Bulova as a sponsor, and that relationship lasted as long as I can think of. I mean, he'd rather wear a Bulova than a gold Rolex. Well, I think that this Bulova Sinatra collection really reflects an era in which Dad was quite formidable, and they're mid-century, meaning the 50s, for those of you who don't know what that means. It's a long time ago, but classic, simple, and the way I think jewelry should be, and definitely the way he thought jewelry should be conceived. I don't see anything that doesn't look like, in all of them, I don't know if you can see them, I don't see any design he would not have worn. I picked that. It's Young at Heart. And a lot of the picking had to do with the song title. Each of them are after song titles, named for song titles. And I picked it because I thought he would. So if I had to guess what Dad would have chosen, because I'm a good guesser for him, I've learned well, I took the one I thought, Young at Heart. That's the one I thought Dad would take. And for two reasons. First and foremost, it's got numbers. He liked the 1 through 12, to be honest. We snuck in the little fedora at 12 here. But I think the shape pleased him. Dad brought an interpretive phrasing, emotion to some pretty substantial lyrics that they're not, it isn't that the lyrics aren't as good anymore. It's that I think the emotionality is probably the same, but it just doesn't feel like it when you hear it in music today, in songs currently written. Then the intention is always there. you're sad, you're happy, you know, it's requited, unrequited. It's all the same stuff, but Dad always gave a lot of that credit to the song composers and lyricists. What he then did as Frank Sinatra with the lyrics, uh, um, what's it called? I mean, he'd make it his own. He'd nail it, you know, and that's what standards are really about. But when it's a vocal standard, it's about what the vocalist brought to the standard. Wonderful lyric and music. So that's part of his lasting. That is everything, I think. And the people, as I said earlier, want to sing that music tells you that it's the worth is in the American songbook and beyond. And remember, Dad couldn't wait to record yesterday. He would throw himself into romance, maybe no more than the next guy. I don't know, maybe because he had more of a fluidity and he moved in the world more. He had more, he had a lot available to him, you know, I mean, that's for sure. You know, my favorite song is one written by Kahn and Van Heusen, recorded by Dad, not covered by most artists. I don't think there are, I haven't heard a cover of that song, maybe ever, never. I don't know. I have to ask Tita Khan, who was Sammy Khan's wife. But it's entitled All My Tomorrows. That could be a watch name, All My Tomorrows. You did, I told you I picked mine for the young at heart, because that's what Dad was and will always be. And that's another reason why we still have him. But I think I'd like to think about that. I'll name the next batch if you decide someday to do that. I would think High Hopes would be a good one. Would have been a good one for now. I think the popularity of Dad today is very much about one, his talent that is evergreen and everlasting, and two, the technology of social media. We have seen a real surge of his popularity each year since 15. Now, that's not to say he wasn't charting and doing well in 15. I mean, the man is always on the charts somewhere, for not bad for being gone 24 years, but the music itself is the gem. And talking about him and wearing his hats, and I mean, kids have, every generation we've seen, or every let's say every 5, 6, 7 years, we see the kids back in fedoras, and they probably kept them because they're not easy to find. They are symbolic of cool and swagger, and he gave his sense of style, which we touched on with the Bulova watches earlier, is very apparent, and social media just scoops all that up and spreads it everywhere. So that has been fortunate. Of all the social media, I would think Dad would have found more humor in TikTok. He would have related to TikTok. It's done some pretty funny things. I don't know that they're all legal, but who cares, you know? I'll tell you honestly, and you're not going to believe this, and I'll do it as fast as I can. This little itty bitty ID bracelet was given to me. I've never been able to tell this story. This little bitty baby bracelet, it looks like it's just a little ID bracelet. Very, very simple and precious to me. At 9 years of age, we're in New York. I have it. I was born on Father's Day. We were celebrating together, Nancy, Frankie, Dad, and I, in New York. And he was taking us to, and it was a Father's Day that day or the next day. I don't remember, but we were together. And this gift was put on my wrist. It was slightly large. I was so proud of it. It says Tina Sinatra across the bar at the top, and on the back it says, "Love you, Papa. Love you, Dad. I love you, Dad." I'm wearing it into the theater. I'm not wearing it as the curtain goes up and the lights go down. It's gone. And I can't find it where Dad is on his knees as the house lights go down. He's between everybody's legs with a lighter burning himself, and there's no bracelet. And I'm going to cry. He said to me, don't worry. We'll stay when the lights go up, when the theater's empty, we'll find that bracelet. Long story short, we didn't. I was crestfallen. I never forgot this bracelet. And when I was turning 57 years later, is that possible? Do I have that right? 54 years later, it was returned to me thanks to social media. And I've been wearing it ever since. I had to make it bigger, but it came back to me. And I wondered, why do I always think about it? Why does this thing bother me so much? And it turns out it was I worked at Warner Brothers Studios for 25 years. It was 6 miles away in Pasadena. And I think about it in driving to work and leaving work, because it was right there. It was right there. A woman had taken it because she saw the interaction. She was a visitor from LA as well. And she got the bracelet. She said, well, she'll have a lot of bracelets, old Tina. I'm taking this from Frank Sinatra, and her family really berated her for all those many years. And she always said, when I'm dead, you send it back. And she died at 91 and they sent it back. Well, I did one in 1992, a miniseries on Frank. It was CBS Warner Brothers miniseries, and it was very satisfying. It was very good for its day. And right now we are working on for streaming. We're working on a real, without being linear, birth to death, longer miniseries. We're also working on a play, by the way, a musical, and it's a love triangle about Dad, Mom, and Ava Gardner. Trust me, it's fun. Little Nancy plays a role in it. We're opening in London as soon as we can. We're not ready, we'll be doing virtual read-throughs and stuff. I'd say in the next 3-4 months. We have a wonderful writer, a wonderful director. We just can't, do anything with it for a while, but we will, I think fall of 22, maybe we'll try for the Savoy Theater, Dad's favorite hotel.